welcome to our show, My Journey. And today we have a very special guest with us. Born and brought up in a small town of Andhra Pradesh in India called Secunderabad. She's a wife and a mom of 2 kids. But that's not what makes her special. She's a sitarist, a classical dancer, and a painter. And also a working chief financial officer for Autism Queensland. Please welcome Sudha Manian.
Thank you so very much for having me on your show.
We are glad to have you on our show. And today we are here to talk about your journey. So let's start about your hometown and your childhood.
Thank you. My hometown and my journey so far. So I grew up in a little place called Secunderabad in Andhra Pradesh. I'm got with mom and dad. Mom and dad were basically from Mumbai, and they did their education there. Yeah. And dad moved to Hyderabad for work reasons. I've got an older sister. Yeah. She's couple of years older than me, but what's very interesting about us is we both share the same birthday.
That is really nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. Except that my, very economical, because it was one cake for the 2 of us, but it was very beautiful, and it's always a very beautiful feeling to share my birthday. But I share my birthday also with a very special person that you will probably meet a bit later in the show.
Okay, we would love to.
So the lifestyle back in India, back in my hometown, was very simple, very like I can say, mom and dad and my older sister. Dad had a fascination for the sitar. He was very inspired by Pandit Ravi Shankarji and the likes, and he was very keen that his daughters partake in this and learn the instrument and be involved in music and dance. Yeah. And my sister was the first to go off learning the sitar and as well as the Indian classical dance, which is Bharatanatyam. And by being the younger one there, they decided that I should be joining the same courses that she did. So I picked up the sitar and dance, I think, at the age of 9 and 10.
Quite young.
Yeah, quite young. I didn't quite understand the magnanimity of the music and arts that I was getting myself into. But nevertheless, I enjoyed, I loved to dance, and I loved music. And so that was happening at the same time, academics and studies. And I studied at a convent school, St. Anne's High School. It was quite regimental, lots of tests and lots of exams. And there was no levi, because mom and dad are like, you've got to still keep up with your academics and studies.
Were they hard on you?
I wouldn't say they were hard, but they were quite focused. That the 2 of us use our time very with purpose. Yeah. So, and it was like, I'll be very honest, it was quite full on for me. So every day of the week we would have lessons. It would be either sitar, dance, or I used to have my tabla masterji who used to come home, because it's very important that we learn tal and understand all of that concept.
Quite complicated.
Yes, and then along with that you have your tests and exams and sports. And so there was no time to basically watch TV. And we had like a very designated time. It was like, 7:30 to some 8:30 in the evening. We were allowed to watch some TV, little black and white TV back in the days. And I used to be like, that was my I used to look forward for that 1 hour when I could watch whatever show that came there. And
you had a favorite show then?
Hey?
Did you have a favorite show?
Yes, I did. Oh, I think my kids will be very amused. I used to like Spider-Man. Oh, wow. There were these cartoons, and they used to come on a Saturday afternoon. And this is like a funny story. I might probably add it here, and with all due respects to my gurus. So Saturday we used to be a half a day at school, which was something that I used to really look forward to. Come home midday, and the show would be around 3 p.m. or something like that. But that afternoon I used to have my tabla master who used to come for rehearsals, and he is a lovely man, but he used to be very strict and stern. And when I was young, I used to get fairly intimidated by him. And I would pray. Actually, I would pray that he's sick or he's unwell, or I start coughing like incessantly. Suddenly, I get this bout of cough, and I think my mom and especially my dad, he kind of knew I was playing it up, but he would once in a while say, okay, you're coughing, or you can take a rest day. And I was like, I used to be over the moon, because then I could watch my TV show, which was that Spider-Man. And even now when I hear that, I always relate it to my tabla master coming and we having a session. Story. Yes. And so there were all these little memories that I made back in the days. Some were tough, some were great. And I didn't quite comprehend the big picture. I didn't quite comprehend where I was going with arts, to be honest, as much as I loved it. But here I am to have got it this far. And I suppose, that amount of commitment and that amount of commitment from my parents, my sister, she was my role model. Like she was absolutely, she's a very artistic lady herself. And I've always looked up to her. So she facilitated that whole process of me continuing on with sitar and dance and exams and so on and so forth. So that's good. So it was a very busy lifestyle. Very, very busy. There was no time to just rest and
But did you always wanted to do like sitarist, be a sitarist, classical dancer? Or was it because your parents wanted that?
I'll be brutally honest. I'll say it was because my parents wanted it.
Yeah.
To be very honest. Dance was different. Yeah, dance was different. I used to love to dance. I still love to dance. And I used to take part in all the dance competitions at school and college and all of that. And, dancing was good. Sitar, on the other hand, was quite tough. Like, it's a string instruments, and it was a bit hard. And I think the only reason I perhaps didn't give up on it was purely because of my parents and my mom. I don't know, like I get quite emotional when I speak about her, but she has been a very big influencer in my life, has always been, still continues to be. And she has always encouraged me, had the faith in me. And I suppose that's why I had all that intense training back in the days, and that's why perhaps I can even continue to hold on to it. And now music has matured for me. The whole concept of arts and music has got this whole new dimension, which at the age of 10 or 11, I didn't quite comprehend it. I was too naive. So.
But did you ever thought while growing up that you do not want to do this? Like, we have that phase in our life that we think we should not be doing this.
To be honest with you, I never had that thought in my mind. I didn't have that amount of time to think of what I don't want to do. It was only what I should be doing and how best I can do it. But like my mom, she's always inculcated, never give up. There's this saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I think we lived by that, and we have had very many tough situations. When I was in my teens, I lost my dad, and things changed quite drastically. And but I think I owe to my mom, because she was a role model, and she never gave up. And I suppose I have that in me, and I never would like to give up. So I'm so glad. I'm so glad I did it.
That's good. So what made you come to Australia, having all that inspiration back home? What made you come here?
Because my beautiful man that I got married to, he's the reason I'm here. So I got married in 1999. Wow. Yeah, that's about 21 years. It's still counting.
That's a long time back.
I know. 99, and then I came to Australia in 2000. But Kumar came to Australia when he was in his early 20s to do his masters, and
quite young.
Continued to stay on and do his work and so on and so forth. And when the alliance came up, there's a story to it as well. There are all these stories in my life. It's interesting.
That's what we're here for.
So yeah, I got married and here I am in Australia now. I actually landed in the country on 15th of August 2000.
Oh, wow.
So Kumar's...
Enjoying your independence?
Yeah, and Kumar's tagline is, India got its independence and I lost mine.
Well, I think you got yours. You are very independent woman here, so...
Yeah, no, it's been one hell of a ride being in this country, and it has given me so much, incredibly, and I'm so very grateful for being where I am today, and and where I think I want to be, and be facilitated by that.
That is great. Okay, so what was that turnaround moment for you in your life?
So the turnaround moment for me was at the age of 16. I very unfortunately lost my father to a very sudden heart attack. So that was a bit of a shock to the system, particularly to me. Lost him so suddenly.
In a young age.
Exactly. I was 16, and that was a huge... that was a point where there was a huge turnaround in my life and what I wanted to achieve from it. Up until then, I was an average kid, well protected by mom and dad, in a cocooned life. I was studying science to be a pediatrician. I was very inspired by one of my close friends' dad. And that's what I thought was my path. And of course, I did sitar and dance and performed and did all of that. But when I lost dad, things changed, and also because my mom, being a BSc in chemistry back in the days, in spite of that, she devoted all her time and effort and energy to us, to my sister and myself, and to the family. So when he passed, she was at that crossroads herself, and the two of us were very unsure of what the future was going to be for us. And at that point, as a young 16-year-old, all I could think of was do something to support her, to support my mom. And so that was my entire focus. And so I changed my fields from science. I shifted into accounting. Because I was told that if I'm an accountant, I'll find a job easily. And I did that, and when I joined accounting, I was told that I should do CA Foundation, which was a Chartered Accountancy Foundation course. I enrolled for that as well. And honestly, the first 1 year I struggled. I didn't know what was going on with these accounting concepts, and it was a huge learning curve.
Something new for you.
Yes, huge learning curve at many levels. And the one thing that I landed up doing was I stopped arts. I completely put a full stop to sitar and dance and all of my artistic pursuits. My sitar masterji was not very happy because I had just been selected for the All India Radio to perform on the radio, and I'd given a few performances, and he could see a future with my music, but I just wanted to focus on accounting and supporting my mom and finding a job. And so I completely changed from being this very cocoon, docile, quiet girl to this tomboy, short hair, rode a bike. It was a complete change in my persona, I suppose.
And we all have a moment where we change.
Yes.
Well, for good or for bad, but we do.
Yes, and I think it has been very much for the good. And here I am, a CFO for Autism Queensland, and having a profession in accounting for all these years. Never regretted any of those changes or why I did what I did. But yes, I stopped music and arts, and I just focused on studies and getting my qualifications and finding a job and supporting my mom.
So when did you start back with your sitar and dancing?
Yes, so sitar, I
had to find for inspiration?
Yes, I had to find the inspiration and the motivation to, I suppose, get back into it. I have always loved arts and music, and it's always been part of me, and painting, I suppose. And then when I got married and came to Australia, I enrolled for the CPA course, and I just had my daughter was a baby.
Yeah.
Again, trying to establish myself in a foreign country was my next big goal. And I think it was a lot to do with what my mom went through, when she lost my dad suddenly. She was at a point where she didn't know anything, and she was so dependent on her husband for everything. And Dad was great, but I never wanted to be in that situation. I made a decision that no matter what, I'll always be independent. I'll be fully qualified. I'll have a profession of my own, in my own rights, and I'm not dependent on anyone for anything for that matter. So when I came to Australia, my husband was well settled, but I was very keen that I, find a job and support myself in whatever terms. So that was again my next big goal, and then I had my first baby. So it was a new country, everything was new. So again, music
everything just changed.
Exactly, music was not one of those priority things. But my lovely in-laws, God bless them, and for what they did for me, they got me an instrument from Mumbai, and to encourage me to get back into arts, into music. I still didn't do it. I was very nervous because picking up an instrument afterwards, after a decade's break was a big thing, and I was too intimidated, too nervous to pick the instrument. And a couple of years later, I think when I was taking Sanchia for her piano lesson, she was, about 7 or 8. Yeah. And I was like, you have to practice, and I'm taking you all these lessons and being the typical mom. And she turned around and she said, so did Tati, that's my mother, did she spend a lot of time and effort with your music? I said, yes, of course. Mom has carted me and, taken me for all these lessons, and she's done all these things for me. She's like, so what are you doing with it? And that's when the penny dropped, saying that, she actually has a point. She has a point. And so I think I owe my inspiration to her as well for, asking me that very simple question, what am I doing with all the effort that my parents or my mom put into me? Yeah. I'm finding excuses not to do things. So, and I think that's when I picked up the instrument and I said, okay, let me get it. And lo and behold, still remembered Rag Yaman, and I could play it. I'm thinking, okay, good. Yeah. Thank God for all those rigorous years of training. I think thank God for that.
I'm very glad that she asked you that question.
She did at a young time. And she still is my reality check. She's 18 and my best friend and my designer, but she's the one who keeps me grounded. And
Isn't it great to have a daughter?
Oh, she's absolutely gorgeous. And she'll ask me these very dry questions, but they're very hard-hitting. Oh, ouch.
Well, that's what daughters are for, so. So I would like to invite your son on the show and get him to share his views about you. So please welcome Sudha Manian. So Rohan, welcome to our show, My Journey. And we know that you are also an instrumental player. So I would like to know how you feel about your mom being a part of music and playing all those instruments and also being part of Team Yatra.
I have watched my mom play for many years now, and I love the music and the songs she plays, and I participated by playing in the tabla for Holy Sandhya event last year.
I am.
And one of my mom's friends lets me play various instruments such as the drums, cajon, and the marimba.
Oh, wow. Do you feel proud to have your mom having all these achievements?
Yes.
Do you get your inspiration from her as well?
Yes.
That is great.
In fact, I would like to share, I said earlier on in the interview, there's one other special person who shares my sister and my birthday, and that's Rohan.
Great.
My precious gift. He was born on our birthday. So we are the three of us on the 28th, and we call each other and keep wishing each other happy birthday.
That is so great.
So as much as Amma's your inspiration, you and Sanchia are my inspiration. You know that, right?
Cute. Well, thank you, Rohan, for coming to the show.
Thank you.
So we know that you have had a lot of achievements in your life, but few of them are like something. You were a featured artist in Commonwealth Games.
Yes, that was a moment in my life where it was so incredibly surreal. And I have to thank Brisbane Multicultural Arts, BMAC. I'm a registered artist with them, and thanks to that crew, they got me this gig. And initially, when I got told that I'm performing at the Commonwealth Games, my understanding was that I'm performing for one of those multiple shows that they, have at different parks and different other places because of tourists and different artists coming and all of that. So I thought it was just one of those kind of, stand-up shows. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. And it was only subsequently I realized that this was actually for the opening night. It was in the arena inside the games for the opening night. And I was one of the featured artists. So we were 6 of us who played with the Queensland Symphony Orchestra. And the first day when I went for rehearsal, I met Katie Noonan, and she's one incredible Australian artist. And she said, I saw you, Sudha, and I wanted you to be part of this. And I was completely gobsmacked and lost for words. So I was on that night in the arena, sitting there with my sitar, and it was for the parade. And when they called out Asia, and then they call out India. Oh my God, I'm still getting goosebumps here. I'm sitting there with my sitar, and I'm thinking, how great is this country? This girl in Hyderabad playing sitar with no agenda is sitting here for the Commonwealth in Australia as a featured artist with a Persian instrument. God, I was like, it was like I just didn't have to cry, and I came home, and it was. I had to call all my family and say, what?
Tell them all about
it. It was magical. So yes,
must have been an incredible moment for you.
Yeah, to hear Asia and India, and you could see the athletes and all walking.
It's a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah,
I was very honored, very humbled by this act.
So another achievement that you had was 2 sold-out shows at Bris Asia Festival. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so there again, I got asked. So Bris Asia's are festivals held by the Brisbane City Council in the month of Feb. That basically showcases art, culture, of any form or shape, literature to cookery shows, all around, around Asia. And as part of that, I got invited. Yatra, my group got invited to do a show, and that again was my first time where I was curating and producing and performing a show under the banner of Yatra. So for the first year, I did it in my home ground, which is BMAC. I have performed there so many times, so that stage feels like home to me. So they absolutely came on board, and they said, "Yep, absolutely, do a show." And I was able to collaborate with 8 other artists that I have worked over the years in different programs and gigs. I had like jazz musicians, Auntie Ruth, who's a phenomenal Aboriginal singer, Efik, an Indonesian flautist and percussionist. Multicultural to its peak. Unity and diversity through arts, I would say. So we came up with Holi Sandhya was the theme, because it was around Holi. So I think we do Holi Sandhya, and so the whole show was for a 2-hour production, and it got sold out. And I thought, wow, that was great. Everyone well received. So then the council came back saying, okay, do it again. So okay, let's do it bigger. And so this year in Feb, we did the show at QUT Garden Theatre. And I went big. It was like we had 40 artists. It was a huge production.
6 to 40.
Yes, that's I don't know. I wouldn't do my math of what multiplication rate that is. But so we 40 artists. We had like 9 multicultural musicians again. 2 ensembles, strings ensemble. There's the Yatra Sitar ensemble. So 15 sitars. I collaborated with the Rohan School, their strings ensemble. So they came on board. I had 4 contemporary dancers, and again a 2-hour production, and it was sold out and very well received. And I think, and that was pretty much the last live show before COVID came and things shut down. So I was very grateful that we could bring it to stage. So So yes, they were beautiful in the sense that it was so well received as an artist, and for me to mature into productions and producing shows that are, people like it. It's not purely classical, but then there is a bit of classical music. And
I can tell it must have been amazing shows.
Oh,
so
yes.
Definitely.
And it's a full family production. So I had my husband. He was my tech person. He did all the PowerPoints and the sound and all of that. I had Rohan, obviously. He was on the tabla and he was on stage with me. Sanshia was my MC. So, the whole
family full of multi-talent.
Yes, all of us are on stage.
That's great. So another achievement that I know of, that you were honored with Global Women Achievers Award. So tell us about that.
Yes, again.
Proud moment.
Yes, surely was a very proud moment. And I was asked to apply for these awards from a very good friend, Fars, back in Mumbai. And he said, apply. And I put the application in, didn't think too much about it. Till about a couple of weeks before the actual award night, he calls me and he said, you are getting an award. And I'm like, what am I getting an award for? And he said, no, for the application that you put, the jury have taken, they've looked at it and they think you should be getting an award. I'm like, okay, that's great. And the award was the ceremony was happening in Mumbai. And that's pretty much our headquarters, because the whole family is from Mumbai, basically. So my husband's family, my sister, the entire battalion is in Mumbai. So I called my mom and I said, I'm getting an award. And this is my mom. She's like, what are you getting an award for? I'm like, thanks for the confidence. I said, I'm getting this award and it's for music and my work. I think a mix of both. And it's happening in Mumbai. And I think if you're there, you should perhaps go and collect it on my behalf. And she's like, no, I think you should come for this. So a very last minute. Yes, I landed up flying to Mumbai for 4 days just for this award. And it was epic. There were about 40 other women who were getting awards, and they all come from very different fields, like literature, judge, musicians, directors, so on and so forth. And to be again sitting there, to be getting an award of this status, like of this caliber of ladies sitting there with me, was beautiful. And then I had my mom, my sister, my sister-in-law, all of us sitting there. So, it was again a very beautiful moment for me to have achieved this and got this recognition, being so far away from the country. People that I always thought that might, it's very hard to get across back and, people for people to kind of recognize back home. But this proved it wrong, because this person has been following me and my profile for a while, and he said, you should put this application in, and I did it. And so
that is a great moment. That is definitely. Well, you have come far in this journey and you have achieved a lot of awards. But in this journey, you have also made a team, a group, I can say, which is known as Yatra.
Yes.
So can you tell us about that?
And funny enough, Yatra means journey.
Journey.
So
you're on the show of my journey.
Yes, that's right. So how apt is that? Again, it's been a very organic growth, to be honest. I started off as a solo sitar player, playing at at yoga centers, and a few friends would invite us and I would play the sitar. And then I had my very first students who wanted to come and learn from me. And that again was a new experience of me having to teach the sitar to someone else. So it was... I had to learn or relearn to be able to teach, and I'm constantly learning in this whole process. It's a constant evolution, I suppose, when playing the sitar. So it basically started with like 3 or 4 of us getting together and playing sitar, and till somebody asked me a while back, what do you call yourself? What is your band called? And we all tossed different names and ideas and came up with Yatra, because it's a journey. Not just my journey, but it's a journey of all the people that I interact with and I collaborate with. And when we create music, it is a journey.
Definitely.
So we thought Yatra is the best name. So Yatra, we have, it's quite a fluid group, to be honest. where I have my 15 sitar players. So we have a sitar ensemble. Yes.
Yeah.
We call ourselves the Yatra Sitar Ensemble.
Yeah.
And then when I collaborate with all these different multicultural artists, they come and work under the Yatra banner.
Yeah.
And when I do shows for the Brisbane Festival, or like yesterday, I performed at the Queen Street Mall.
Oh, wow.
And there again, it's under Yatra. So, so that's, I suppose, that's the story of how this group and band came to be.
Well, that is an incredible journey. Well, I would love to be a part of your journey. So definitely would love to learn sitar one day.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Why not?
Incredible instruments. So yes, definitely. In this busy life, I would really like to know, how do you manage your work life, your home life, and your artistic life together?
So you want the true answer or the made-up answer?
I think our viewers would love the true answer.
Well, I wouldn't want to say that here. It's a lot of chilies and a bit of stress, but it's. I've been very fortunate to have this support, both at home front, which is absolutely critical and paramount for me.
Yeah.
To, as I said, like all my productions, are around the family.
Yeah.
They're all involved in it in some form or shape. So that for me is a huge support system.
Definitely.
And I think that's very important for me.
Yeah.
Having said that, I also have an incredible amount of support from my workplace. I work, as you know, for Autism Queensland. It's a not-for-profit organization, and I just love. It's been about 6 years now that I've been working with them, and they are an incredible team.
Yeah.
And my CEO, she's a phenomenal woman herself, and she comes for my shows for the Brisbane Festival. She comes in a sari and she talks about they all come for most of my shows, and they're like, oh my god, is that you really playing the sitar? I'm like, yes,
different personality,
and then an accountant at work. So to have that amount of support at a workplace is also incredibly important.
Definitely.
And I've been very fortunate to have that. And then of course I have friends and family who are always behind me, supporting me. Coming up with so many different ideas and options and opportunities. So I think when you have, they say to raise a child you need a village. But definitely. I think for any successful woman, you have to have a good support system behind you. Only then, you can go and proceed and achieve things, and that's very important. That's extremely important, and those relationships are paramount for me. So I think
that's great.
And then, of course, I do have my stress moments, and people who are close to me do see it, and. I'm not going to say that everything every time is perfectly right. There are moments where I'm challenged, but then again, I suppose I go back on to what my mom says, like give it a go. There's no harm in it. Just give it a go, and things work out. So I think
definitely, it's great to have a family like this.
Yes.
So my last but not the least question for today would be, what message would you like to give to our viewers?
Okay.
Any inspiration for them?
I think the biggest thing for me, and I suppose for many others would be, is to believe in yourself. I as I said, like Yatra, we're an ensemble of sitar players, and most of my students are women, and quite a few of them are, they're all professionals, and they're doing higher education. They have family and kids and so on and so forth. As much as they think I'm inspiring, to be honest, they inspire me. For having some of them to come after work, after dinner, after kids are in bed, for a lesson at 7:30 on a weeknight is incredible. And I think you have to believe in yourself to push and to achieve and to dream. I'm a dreamer. As much as I'm an accountant and pragmatic and all of that, I'm quite a dreamer, and I think to believe and have faith is quite important. And it gets tough, trust me. It's not always easy. It's never a bed of roses. But with a bit of few chilies and wine, I think we'll get through it. But
I think everyone would love that.
But yes, I think that's quite important.
Definitely.
To have the belief and not to lose faith.
Yeah. We have gone through an incredible journey of yours, and we would love to thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful show. We enjoyed it. Thank you.
We are glad to have you on the show. And we will catch you with another journey of someone else's soon. Well, bye for now.